Today I want to talk about evaluating quadratic functions. So we've talked about functions and what they are, and you guys should be fairly familiar with things like linear functions. We have to start talking about the big thing you guys learned at the end of this year is nonlinear functions. So we talked about functions and what they were, right? We said essentially they were just inputs and outputs, right? We're going to put x's in, we were going to get f of x's out, okay? Now, when we talked about earlier this year, we talked about linear, right? And we weren't calling them x and f of x, we were calling them x and y, right? And we'll talk about, again, the differences between those as we go. So we're really working on using this new notation. But we also want to introduce something else into the mix, and that's things that are nonlinear, okay? So the first type of nonlinear thing we're going to look at are called quadratics. I'll explain what that means in a second, okay? So linear, remember that was like something like y equals mx plus b, right? Or what do we have? We had ax plus by is equal to c, right? We had all these different forms. But the bottom line was this. You were only allowed to have 4 operations. You're allowed to have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and kind of division. You'll learn about kind of division later, okay? We were allowed to have this. We were allowed to have 1/2 x, right? So that was really multiplication. We were allowed to have something like this. We were not allowed to have something like this. We'll talk about this in the 11th grade, okay? But for all intents and purposes, linear functions are what they call closed under the operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. These are the only 4 things you're allowed to have, okay? If you have things other than these, and you guys know some things other than those, so what are some things besides addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division that you guys know? Well, you guys definitely know some, right? Like, well, we had exponents, right? We did that for about a month of the year, right? We had something like x squared, x to the 3rd power, right? These are not addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? We have things like square roots, right? If you guys think back real far, we had things like absolute value. And there'll be other things you guys learn, you know, next year and the year after that and the year after that. There's other operations. Before you're done with high school, I think that really you have to know something like 12 or 13 different functions. So really all I wanted to talk about today is quadratic ones because they're the next thing. Quadratic ones just have an x squared, okay? So all I want to talk about today is what happens when we throw an x squared into the mix and what it's going to look like when we actually put them on a table. So one of the things that hopefully you guys remember is if we had something that was linear. So if I say something like f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay. Well, I can make myself a little table, right? I can make myself a little table, and I say, all right, I'm going to plug in these values for x, and I'm going to get out these values for f of x. Okay. So if we wanted to put in, say, these numbers, hold on, so let's make sure I'm using this. If we choose a few numbers to plug in here, so let's say I picked in, I'm going to pick in 1, 2, 3, and I'm actually going to skip and go to 6. Okay? Well, if I plug in 1, f of 1 means 2 times 1 plus 1. Yeah, the function evaluated 1. All I'm doing is plug in 1 x. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So f of 1 is equal to 2 plus 1, or 3. Okay? If I plug in 2, f of 2 is equal to 2 times 2 plus 1, which would be 4 plus 1, which would be 5. If I plug in 3, that's 2 times 3 plus 1. Well, 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So most of you guys can tell you if I had 4 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, 7, 9 would be the next number, right? And if I had 5, it would be 2 more. These are going up by 1. And these were going up by 2. Well, this didn't go up by 1. This went up by 3. So this would also have to go up by 3 times as much. So this should go up by 6. Okay? This should be double. It should always be this number divided by this number should be the same thing, right? 2 divided by 1 is 2. 2 divided by 1 is 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So let's just make sure that that works. So y, so I'm sorry, f of 6 is equal to 2 times 6 plus 1, and 2 times 6 is 12, and 12 plus 1 is 13, which, yes, the 13 is 6 more than 7, okay? So here's the thing. We call this constant. It's raising at a constant rate. And what that looked like from a graph, from a graphing standpoint, was that you had something like this. What was it? 2x plus 1. You had something like this, that where we started at 1 and it was the same thing. It always went up and over by the same amount, right? That it was constant. It was always up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Even when it was up 6 over 3, again, from any point, if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, it's still the same thing. It's just the dots will be a little bit further away from each other. So what made this linear was that you were only allowed to have those addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. What's going to change now is we're going to throw an x squared into the mix, okay? So we can recognize this is linear by this pattern. This will not have the same pattern, okay? So we're going to take a look at a few examples, and you guys can go ahead and try some yourself out. So, all right, so what if I said f of x equals x squared minus 4x, okay? So notice the only thing that's different here is we have an x squared, right? Well, I guess it is. Woo! All right. And they want you to evaluate. They want this. They want you to plug in the following numbers. They want 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now you can feel free to use a calculator for this, but I'm going to tell you guys there's going to be some dangerous things when you guys use a calculator. Okay. So we're going to say f of 0 is equal to, what is that? 0 squared minus 4 times 0. Well, 0 squared is 0, and negative 4 times 0 is 0. So 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay? Again, can you put that in your calculator? Sure. Look at your calculator. Say what? You can't put the f of x part, so don't try and do that. You can only do this part in here, so you can know something. So we're going to say 0 squared minus 4 times 0. Can you put that in your calculator? Absolutely you can, okay? F of 1. Okay, so I'm going to say f of 1 is equal to 1 squared minus 4 times 1. F of 1 squared is 1, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, and 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Okay, now, this is not linear. If it were linear like the other one, we say, all right, this changed by 1, this one changed by negative 3, and you went down 3. What you're going to see is it's not going to go down negative 3 again. This is not going to be negative 6 when I plug it in. So if I plug in 2, this will be 2 squared minus 4 times 2. Well, 2 squared is 4, and negative 4 times 2 is going to be negative 8. So 4 minus 8 is going to be negative 4. So if you watch what happened, this actually went down by 3. This one only went down by 1, right? So it's actually slowing down. Okay, we'll talk about what that means from a graphing standpoint. But let's go ahead and let's plug in 3 as well. All right, so we'll say f of 3 is equal to 3 squared minus 4 times 3. 3 squared is 9. 4 times 3 is negative 12. 9 minus 12 is negative 3. So believe it, oh, it actually changed directions. It actually went down, down. And actually from negative 4 to negative 3 is actually going up. Think about it on a number line. Negative 3, right, negative 4. we actually went from -3 to -4. That was going down, and actually went from -4 to -3. That's actually going back up. So again, the shapes of these graphs are going to be much different, and what we're going to use them for is also going to be much different either, okay? But essentially, this is all you really need to do for today, okay? Your assignment is just pretty much plug these numbers in and see what comes out. So I'll go through another couple of those, and we'll talk about that, okay? So what if I said, I'm going to change the letters this time. So f of z, okay? That's the way I write my z's, because my z's and my number 2's are the same. So just a heads up for you guys, okay? So f of z is equal to -5z squared minus 2, okay? And they want to know the following values for z. They want you to plug in -2, -1, 0, and 1. Now, here is where you need to be careful. And here's where if you're going to use your calculator, that's all well and good. You need to make sure things are in parentheses, okay? So, if you're going to plug in a negative exponent, if you're going to use your calculator, that's fine. You're going to put, we want to do, f of -2. Okay, so that's going to be -5. I'm going to replace my z with a -2 minus 2. Okay. Now, if you want to plug in your calculator just like that, sure. -5 times -2 squared minus 2. Right? No big deal. It's going to tell you the answer is -22. Okay. No big deal at all there. But I do want to caution you here. If you don't put this inside parentheses, which some of you guys are going to do, it's going to give you the wrong answer. So you say -5 times -2 squared minus 2. And it's going to give you the wrong answer. So it's actually going to tell you that you made a mistake, okay? So again, even if we put the multiplication sign, -2 squared. If you put this -2 without the parentheses, it's going to give you the wrong answer, okay? You need to make sure your things are inside parentheses if you're going to use the calculator, okay? So you definitely need it in here, right here with the parentheses, okay? So again, you want to use calculator, that's fine, okay? I'll do the next one by hand just to show you guys what you should be doing. -5 times -1 squared minus 2, okay? All right, now let's do your order of operations. Your order of operations say we have to do parentheses and then exponents, so we do the exponents. -1 squared is +1, okay? And that's where your error will come from, okay? -5 times 1 is -5, and -5 minus 2 is going to be -7. So big change there. Yes, very big change there, okay? If we plug in 0, now what you guys are going to find out as you go through these, 0 is one of those points we always want to use, okay? Because it's going to tell us something very easily. Well, this is 0 squared. 0 squared is 0, and then 5 times 0 will be 0. So what you'll find out is whenever you use 0, all you'll be left with is anything that doesn't have a variable, any constant. So here, this has a variable. 0 squared is 0. 0 times -5 is 0. So that just kind of cancels out. All we're going to be left with here is -2. Okay. And again, let's do one more. Let's plug in 1. -5 is 1 squared minus 2. So we're saying f of 1. Okay. 1 squared is 1. Okay. -5 times 1 is -5. -5 minus 2 is going to be -7. So you see, we got the same answer out when we plugged in -1 and +1, and that's going to be something that we're going to look at, pretty in depth. Okay, so that's about it, guys. You just pretty much are going to plug in the numbers and see what comes out on the other side. Okay, they're going to ask you to fill out some tables like this. Use a calculator if you have to. Don't get frustrated. You don't need to do a million of these. Okay, I know on IXL it's going to keep feeding you questions and feeding you questions and feeding you questions. Now, if you're feeling good about it, if you're getting them right, then keep going until it's done. If you are getting frustrated, stop, Okay, write down the problem, take a screenshot of the problem. I don't know how you do it on the Mac. I know how you do it on the iPad. You hold down, I think it's the home button and the volume down. It'll take a picture. On Windows, I know it's Windows Shift S, and you can take a picture of the screen. Send me those pictures, and I will go over those problems specifically. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to assign you guys some different assignments. So if your assignment doesn't look exactly like this, it will be at least related. It will probably have exponents or something in there. Just because I think some of you guys need to practice a little bit more before we get to this. So anyway, give it a try. Make sure you can log in. If you can't log into IXL, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, let me know, and I will look into it. I went in and I tried most of them. They should all work, but keep me posted, okay? And I hope all you guys are safe and have a good night.